In this video sewing tutorial, I will show you how to sew a face mask, and you can download a free face mask pattern to make your own mask. This project is easy even for beginner, but you still need to have some sewing skills. I prefer homemade face masks because so-called surgical masks don't fit well. They have gaps large enough to fit your finger around the nose and cheeks. And I feel safer wearing a well-fitted fabric face mask that has a good filter and probably protects against viruses better. I already have two mask patterns that prove to be popular with my readers. And now I have decided to sew other well-fitted masks, which are even simpler to make, go higher on the nose, and allow enough space around the mouth to not muffle the sounds when you talk. I made two different models using only one mask template. You can find a free printable face mask template on my site. I will put the link under this video. I have chosen 100% cotton fabric for my masks. I don't use polyester fabric for my projects. I prefer woven fabric and not knits. Stretchy knit fabric is not easy to sew with a home sewing machine, and it's not good for masks anyway. I successfully used fusible interfacing for my previous masks, so for these new masks I'm also going to use Pellon lightweight fusible interfacing. Print and cut the pattern. There are only two pieces. One pattern piece looks pretty much like a rectangle, and the other one has a curved shape. Cut a piece of interfacing a little bigger than the pattern. Cut two pieces of fabric, also a little bigger than the pattern. The pieces have to be large enough to accommodate the pattern, and this step is here only because it's not easy to work with the whole large piece of material when you only need enough to fit the small pattern. Fuse that piece of interfacing to the fabric with a hot iron. Place the pattern on the interfaced piece of fabric and pin it. But use pins only in the seam allowances. It's better to not make any holes in the mask because viruses are very small and they can easily go through the needle holes. Cut the fabric using good fabric shears. Now we need to cut the second fabric piece, the one without interfacing. You can cut it using the same pattern. I prefer to make a mask with a removable filter for better protection. So the cutting of the second piece of fabric is different in this case. If you would like to make a mask with a removable filter, then we have to make an opening for the filter. I don't want the opening for the filter right in the middle of the mask, so I make it somewhere on the side. Fold the edges 5/8 of an inch and press with an iron. Place these pieces of fabric side by side and cut the second piece for the mask using the pattern. Now we need to make the opening smaller. For this, I iron on small pieces of interfacing, like you see in the video. Make a few zigzag stitches over it. Place these pieces right sides together and stitch around all edges with 3/8 of an inch seam allowances. Press the stitches so it looks nice. Cut seam allowances close to stitches. Cut the corners close to stitches also. Turn the mask to the right side through the opening and press it with a hot iron. Now use the second pattern piece. Place it on the fabric like you see in the video and fold both edges inside. Make sure the folded parts are equal. Press with a hot iron. From now on, the steps will be different for my two models of face masks. The first model has small pleats on the sides. Now we are going to attach elastic. I don't like elastic over my ears. I prefer masks with elastic over my head. If you make the mask like this for the first time, you may not have the right measurements for this elastic. It's not a big deal. You can always adjust it later. Just cut it a little bigger and later you will shorten it. As for my elastic, the bigger piece that goes over my head is 15 inches long and the shorter piece that goes around the neck is 10 inches. But the elastic you are using can have different elasticity, so the measurements will be different for different elastic. Place elastic edges under the folded fabric as you see in the video and stitch around all edges. Now let's make two pleats at the sides. Make sure the pleats are exactly the same. Stitch again over the pleats. Now we need to make two more seams. Measure 1 inch from the side edges and draw curved lines as you see in the video. Stitch. Now let's make the other model. Repeat all the steps from the beginning until you have this shape with two folded edges. Place the second pattern piece on the mask, mark around curved edges, and make stitches over the marks. Make sure the stitches end exactly at the corners. Cut the fabric close to stitches. Now we are going to attach elastic. Using your seam ripper, make small cuts in the side seams for inserting elastic ends. Stitch the sides of the mask securing elastic. Now we need to finish the curved edges we just cut. We don't want the fabric to fray. There are many ways to do it. You can use a piece of a bias tape, you can use a piece of fold over elastic, but I prefer the simplest method. Overcast the edges with my sewing machine. For this I use an overcast presser foot. There are different types of overcast feet, and one of them is often included in the accessories for your sewing machines. Make sure the bobbin thread is the same as the upper thread. Finish curved edges with your sewing machine. Now we need to make two more seams, the same as with the previous model. Measure 1 inch from the side edges and draw curved lines as you see in the video. Stitch, and the mask is now ready.